Today is day 1 for the Come Follow Me study for this week, December 11th through the 17th. Revelation 6 through 14. They overcame by the blood of the Lamb. Monday, December 11th, 2023, Revelation 6. Immerse yourselves in the Scriptures. President Russell M. Nelson taught, daily immersion in the Word of God is crucial for spiritual survival, especially in these days of increasing upheaval. What does immersion in the Word of God mean to you? President Boyd K. Packer counseled, if the language of the Scriptures at first seems strange to you, keep reading. Soon you will come to recognize the beauty and power found on those pages. Imagine a woman travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. Now imagine a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns, hovering over the woman, poised to devour her child as soon as it is born. To understand these verses of John's Revelation, remember that these images represent the church and kingdom of God and the peril they would face. For the saints who experienced intense persecution in John's day, victory over evil may not have seemed likely. This victory can also be hard to foresee in a day like ours, when the adversary is at war with the saints and has power over all kindreds and tongues and nations. But the end of John's Revelation gloriously shows that good will prevail over evil, Babylon will fall, and the saints will come out of great tribulation with robes of white, not because their robes were never stained, but because the saints will have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. To reiterate from last week, Hiram Andrus said, let's just say a word or two of clarification that is very important at this point in relation to that book and its seals. Sometimes people get the idea that those seals are opened at the beginning of each 1,000 years. That's not true. They are all sealed, and they are all opened, not in the 1,000 years where the events transpire, but they are opened in the latter days. Some people maintain that these various figures associated with the sealing of the seals represent actions and activities in the respective 1,000-year period, so that the white horse and he that sat upon the white horse with the bow represents something that took place between the fall of Adam and 1,000 years of the year of the world. And the red horse represents something that took place between 1,000 of the year of the world and the year 2000, which would include the flood, which took place somewhere around the year 1635 or so after Adam's fall, and so on down. This, however, disregards the clarification given by the prophet Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith said the things which John saw had no allusion to the scenes of the days of Adam, Enoch, Abraham, or Jesus. John saw that only which was lying in futurity, and which was shortly to come to pass. See Revelation 1:1-3, which is the key to the whole subject. Now I make this declaration that those things which John saw in heaven had no allusion to anything that had been on earth previous to that time, because they were the representation of things which must shortly come to pass, and not of what has already transpired. These revelations do not give us to understand anything of the past in relation to the kingdom of God. Back to Hiram Andrus. So let me give you this rather popular clarification. Let me turn to the prophet Joseph Smith's statement, and let's see what he says about it. He's the person who called it the plainest book God ever caused to be written. He's the person who, like John the Revelator, saw what John saw, and like the brother of Jared, saw what the brother of Jared saw. Hence, he just may be qualified to make a clarification that is meaningful. Here in the teachings, page 290, he says this, John saw beasts that had to do with things on the earth, but not in past ages. The beast which John saw had to devour the inhabitants of the earth in days to come. Future from John. And then he quotes the book of Revelation. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were, the voice of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, come and see. And I saw and beheld a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, is this the first millennial period of the earth's temporal state, or is it after John the Revelator's time, according to Joseph Smith? He makes it very clear, does he not? Then he goes on, and there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Then he said, the book of Revelation is one of the plainest books God ever caused to be written. And that's where the statement comes in. So these things that happened when the seals were opened, when the first seal was opened and the white horse went forth, it had nothing directly to do with 1,000 years from Adam's fall to the first millennial period. It is that which is depicted when the seal is opened. The opening of the seals are made to reveal the sequence of events in the last days. These seals are to be opened in the last days, and at the opening of each seal, there are certain prophetic events to take place. Opening of the first seal. Revelation 6, 1-2. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, one of the four beasts, and I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. D&C 101. Yet I will own them, and they shall be mine in that day when I shall come to make up my jewels. Mine indignation is soon to be poured out without measure upon all nations, and this will I do when the cup of their iniquity is full. And in that day all who are found upon the watchtower, or in other words, all mine Israel, shall be saved, and they that have been scattered shall be gathered, and all they who have mourned shall be comforted, and all they who have given their lives for my name shall be crowned. Therefore let your hearts be comforted concerning Zion, for all flesh is in mine hands. Be still, and know that I am God. Zion shall not be moved out of her place, notwithstanding her children are scattered. They that remain and are pure in heart shall return, and come to their inheritances, they and their children, with songs of everlasting joy, to build up the waste places of Zion. Isaiah 62. For Zion's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called delightful, and thy land union, for the Lord delighteth in thee, and thy land shall be married. For as a young man marrieth a virgin, so shall thy God marry thee, and as the bridegroom rejoiceth over the bride, so shall thy God rejoice over thee. I have set watchmen upon thy walls, O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silence, and give him no rest, till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth. Go through the gates, prepare ye the way of the people. Cast up the highway, gather out the stones. Lift up a standard for the people. Behold, the Lord hath proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say ye to the daughter of Zion, Behold, thy salvation cometh. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. And they shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of the Lord. And thou shalt be called, sought out, a city not forsaken. Zechariah 9. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, the king cometh unto thee. He is just, and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, and upon a colt, the foal of an ass. At the second coming, Jesus will return to earth in great power and glory. As a symbol of his glory, the book of Revelation describes him coming to earth on a white horse, rather than on the ass that he rode into Jerusalem. Zechariah 9. And I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow shall be cut off, and he shall speak peace unto the heathen, and his dominion shall be from sea even to sea, and from the river even to the ends of the earth. As for thee also, by the blood of thy covenant I have sent forth thy prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Turn you to the stronghold, ye prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double unto thee. When I have bent Judah from me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee with the sword a mighty man. And the Lord shall be seen over them, and his arrow shall go forth as the lightning, and the Lord God shall blow the trumpet, and shall go with whirlwinds of the south. The Lord of hosts shall defend them, and they shall devour, and subdue with sling stones, and they shall drink and make a noise as through wine, and they shall be filled like bowls, and as the corners of the altar. And the Lord their God shall save them in that day as the flock of his people, for they shall be as the stones of a crown, lifted up as an ensign upon his land. Isaiah 49. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, ye people from far. The Lord hath called me from the womb, from the bowels of thy mother hath he made mention of my name. And he hath made my mouth like a sharp sword, in the shadow of his hand hath he hid me, and made me a polished shaft. In his quiver hath he hid me, and said unto me, Thou art my servant, O Israel, in whom I will be glorified. The polished shaft hidden in the Lord's quiver may be a direct reference to Joseph Smith. As the choice seer of the latter day, he was to be the Lord's servant in a special sense. The prophet Joseph's description of himself is interesting in this light. I am like a huge rough stone rolling down from a high mountain, and the only polishing I get is when some corner gets rubbed off by coming in contact with something else, striking with accelerated force against religious bigotry, priestcraft, lawyercraft, doctorcraft, lying editors, suborned judges and jurors, and the authority of perjured executives, backed by mobs, blasphemers, licentious and corrupt men and women. All hell knocking off a corner here and a corner there. Thus I will become a smooth and polished shaft in the quiver of the Almighty, who will give me dominion over all and every one of them, when their refuge of lies shall fail, and their hiding place shall be destroyed, while these smooth, polished stones with which I come in contact become marred. The arrow shaft is polished that it might fly truer and faster, and the shaft that is polished is generally reserved for one's most important shot. The last dispensation, when all things are gathered in one, is the Lord's most important shot, so he saved his polished shaft for this latter-day work. Opening of the second seal. Revelation 6, 3-4. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. The student manual says that the red horse equals bloodshed, and the sword equals war and destruction. Then from Enrichment H, it says, Peace taken from the earth. As the Lord withdraws his spirit because people reject him, the spirit of Satan and his influence increases, and peace is taken from the earth. The prophet Joseph Smith prophesied of a time when no one would have peace except in Zion and her stakes. I saw men hunting the lives of their own sons, and brother murdering brother, women killing their own daughters, and daughters seeking the lives of their mother. I saw armies arrayed against armies. I saw blood, desolation, fires. The Son of Man has said that the mother shall be against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother. These things are at our doors. They will follow the saints of God from city to city. Satan will rage, and the spirit of the devil is now enraged. I know not how soon these things will take place. D&C 45. And it shall come to pass among the wicked that every man that will not take his sword against his neighbor must needs flee unto Zion for safety. And there shall be gathered unto it out of every nation under heaven, and it shall be the only people that shall not be at war one with another. Opening of the third seal. Revelation 6:5. And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. The student manual says the black horse is famine, and balances represent the high prices for food. Revelation 6:6. And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. And hurt not thou the oil and the wine. This strange accounting of the price of wheat and barley seems baffling to us today, but knowledge of the monetary units and customs of John's times helps us to better understand what the voice declared. John's readers would have clearly understood it. A measure was approximately the same volume as our own quart and was the usual amount of a day's allowance or ration. The penny was a small silver coin of Roman mintage. Although it is hard to determine the equivalent value in today's inflated economy, it is known that a denarius was the typical wage of a day's work in those times. Thus, to spend one day's wages to buy only enough food for one person for one day clearly points out that these were famine prices. A person could purchase only enough food to live on with the whole day's wages, indicating extreme famine prices. In contrast, barley was less expensive and was thus eaten by the poor. 3 measures of barley could be purchased for a penny, but barley was a much inferior grain for human consumption and was generally used only in times of great hunger. The fact that the writer had balances in his hands suggests that the scarcity of food was such that it had to be doled out with exactness. Elder McConkie has suggested that the phrase, "hurt not the oil and the wine," meant that enough food should be preserved so that men would not utterly perish in the famine conditions of that time. Opening of the 4th seal, Revelation 6, 7 through 8. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him over the 4th part of the earth to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Elder Bruce R. McConkie said, "By sword, or by famine, or by pestilence, or by wild beasts." And in the index to triple combination, pestilence says, "See also destruction or plague." Opening of the 5th seal, Revelation 6, 9 through 11. And when he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Joseph Smith said, I am going like a lamb to the slaughter, but I am as calm as a summer's morning. I have a conscience void of offense toward God and toward all men. If they take my life, I shall die an innocent man, and my blood shall cry from the ground for vengeance. And it shall be said of me, he was murdered in cold blood. President Wilford Woodruff said, On my arrival in Boston, I received a letter which had been sent from Nauvoo giving us an account of the killing of the prophets. I was the only man in Boston of the Quorum of the 12. I had very strange feelings, as I have no doubt all the saints had. I attended a meeting on the following day in Boydston's Hall, where a vast number of the inhabitants of Boston and some 300 Latter-day Saints had assembled. Hundreds of men came to that meeting to see what the Mormons were going to do now that their prophets were dead. I felt braced up. Every nerve, bone, and sinew within me seemed as though made of steel. I did not shed a tear. I went into that hall, though I knew not what I was going to say to that vast audience. I opened the Bible promiscuously and opened to the words of St. John, where he saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and heard them cry, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? The Lord informed them that they must wait a little season, until their brethren were slain as they were. I spoke on these words. D&C 137. They were innocent of any crime, as they had often been proved before, and were only confined to jail by the conspiracy of traitors and wicked men, and their innocent blood on the floor of Carthage jail is a broad seal affixed to Mormonism that cannot be rejected by any court on earth, and their innocent blood, with the innocent blood of all martyrs under the altar that John saw, will cry with the Lord of hosts till he avenges that blood on the earth. Amen. Opening of the sixth seal, Revelation 6:12. And I beheld, when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Elder Bruce R. McConkie said, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, causing such an earthquake as has never before been seen. And it shall appear to man on earth as though the stars of the sidereal heavens are falling, and in addition, as here recorded, some heavenly meteors or other objects appearing as stars will fall unto the earth. Indeed, the events of that day shall be so unprecedented and so beyond human experience that the prophets are and have been at an almost loss of words to describe those realities pressed in upon them by the spirit of revelation, and we can envision only a small measure the great events which they saw and understood by the power of the Spirit. That is, we are so limited unless and until we enjoy the same Spirit and see the same things which that God, who is no respecter of persons, revealed to them. And immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. In the midst of a resuscitation of the woes that shall befall the world, Isaiah inserts a small assertion. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light, the sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And speaking of the events to precede his coming, and of the glorious resurrection which shall attend it, the Lord, by latter-day revelation, gives us this confirmation of the same events. Before this great day shall come, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall be turned into blood, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and there shall be great signs in heaven above and in the earth beneath. D&C 88. For not many days hence, and the Lord shall tremble, and reel to and fro as a drunken man, and the sun shall hide his face, and shall refuse to give light, and the moon shall be bathed in blood, and the stars shall become exceedingly angry, and shall cast themselves down as a fig that falleth from off a fig tree. Revelation 6:13-14. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs, which are figs that ripen late, hanging on the tree even into winter, when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven opened as a scroll is opened, when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of its place. Elder Bruce R. McConkie, referring to the heavens departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, said, Isaiah speaks of the same events in these words. And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their host shall fall down, as the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a falling fig from the fig tree. Revelation 6:15-16. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman, hide themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. Elder Bruce R. McConkie said, As Jesus carried his cross to Calvary, he also spoke of this day of desolation, saying, Then shall they begin to say to the mountains, Fall on us, and to the hills cover us. Revelation 6:17. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Elder Bruce R. McConkie, referring to the wrath of the Lamb, and the great day of his wrath is come, said, Precedent to our Lord's return, wars and desolations beyond our present ability to envision shall sweep the earth. What could be more descriptive of these events than such inspired utterances as these? Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate, and he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked of their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogance of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place, in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them, he hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. For this was the day of vengeance which was in my heart. Elder Bruce R. McConkie, referring to who shall be able to stand, said, Before the Lord comes, the wicked and ungodly shall be slain by plague and by pestilence and by the sword. And when he descends with his chariots of fire, the remainder of those who are living a telestial law shall be consumed by the glory of his presence. Isaiah describes it this way, For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. And Malachi, having more particular reference to the actual hour of his return, asked, Who may abide the day of his coming, and who shall stand when he appeareth? And then answers, The day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. For more in-depth analysis, see the following video.